Alrighty, welcome to another week of the Patterson Report. I'm Brandon, he's Ryan, and the last time we were on, we still had hope. The Sixers had a chance, and it went the way we all should have known that it was going to go. So we're going to bury that like we do the Sixers every time around this year. And I want to start off with the Eagles, but not in a way that probably a lot of people are expecting. We're going to get to the draft in a second, but we've been seeing some clips coming out from the new podcast that LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson are running together, and they're doing like a tell-all Chip Kelly episode, which I think is must-see appointment television listening, however you view your podcasts. Have you seen any of the clips that have come out so far, Ryan?
I've seen a little bit. I don't like consuming LaShawn McCoy content. I'm hurt still, After he spoiled Denver's Endgame, I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt about that. I'm a nerd at heart. I'm still hurt.
That was tough because he evaded.
Dude. Just a quick aside. I saw that tweet as I was in the car heading to the theater. I was like,
if you're not clear on what Ryan and I are talking about, back when the biggest news to come out of entertainment was what Avengers Endgame was up to, no spoilers, stuff like that. People like myself and I think Ryan went out of their way on Twitter to mute certain words to avoid spoilers.
I muted everything.
And LaShawn McCoy misspelled one of the very critical words, which meant slept through all of our filters and spoiled the movie for his thousands of followers. That being said,
he's still not living that down. Did you see that it was a Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia fight, and he posted that he lost $250K, and everyone's like, "Good."
Well, yeah,
like, oh my gosh, people are savages. I'll tell you what.
So there's still some hurt feelings over that.
It's the bridges aren't quite mended yet, but
no. But there's a bridge that'll probably never be mended, and that is the one between he and Chip Kelly. And we'll get into who we think got it the worst out of that era. But the two guys doing the podcast, I would argue, were the two who got hit. Two of the guys who got hit the hardest. Deshaun Jackson, if you remember correctly, there was that WIP, I believe it was Elliot Shore Parks, who tweeted out the possibility that he had gang affiliations. Unsubstantiated rumors, unfortunately. And that led Chip Kelly to pretty much exile Deshaun Jackson as soon as humanly possible. Even though it's unsubstantiated, teammates largely kind of rallying around them. Didn't matter. Chip had heard enough. And then LaShawn McCoy was jettisoned to the Bills in favor of Kiko Alonso, who missed the previous season with a torn ACL, and his only redeeming quality was that he played at Oregon. So that's the very short, very I'll put it this way, PC version. There were some other motivations that people suspected as to why Chip Kelly didn't get along with those individuals. But if you're familiar with slander laws in the U.S., they're quite expensive, and I'm going to stay a mile away from them. But you can read between those lines if you'd like. But is there anybody else I'm missing, Ryan, from that point in time with the Eagles who really got shafted by the Chip Kelly era?
I'm trying to think. I also want to point out how funny it is that a running back got traded for a linebacker. That would never happen in today's NFL. They're the two most devalued positions in the league. But
it wasn't any running back. When that trade went down,
it wasn't any running back. It was special LaShawn McCoy, and yes,
he was 26.
Yeah, I mean, what are you
coming off of an 1,100-yard season?
Look, it's in the past now. I'm trying to think of, because I haven't been able to keep up with this today because I know it just released today. I'm trying to think of what happened to Jeremy Maclin. I know he went to the Chiefs, but I don't think he was cut. I think he just walked in free agency. Am I right?
Yeah, Jeremy Maclin was a little bit more on his own terms. A couple other guys that got mentioned. They called Jason Peters, and they said, "Yo, Jason, when we tell you the name Chip Kelly, what do you think?" And I believe the term was bitch ass. Don't quote me on that directly. It was pretty close. There was another quote where it's, Michael Vick told the team that Chip Kelly's made him cry more often than the prison guards did, which is brutal.
Wow.
There was another corner. His name was Rock Carmichael. Chip Kelly told to cut his hair because his other hair thought was unprofessional. which again dances around that other issue that I'm not directly going to bring up, but again, read between those lines as well.
Where is he now? Where is Chip Kelly now? Is he still at UCLA or did he leave? I thought he left.
I thought last season he was still the head coach at UCLA.
I'm gonna look. I'm pretty sure he's at Ohio State.
I think you're right. You're right. He took a staff job at Ohio State rather than head coach at UCLA.
Interesting. That's interesting when you look at it. I mean, the Pac-12 is kind of folding in other news.
He's the offensive coordinator for Ohio State. He's also 60.
I didn't know
He's
that.
way older than I thought he was.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably circle back around to him during the college football season if Ohio State's, up there or they're collapsing or, one of the two.
Yeah, wow. Now before we move off it completely, this guy kind of ties into the next part of this when we're talking about who got it the worst. Howie Roseman probably got it the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, no, I still stand by LaShawn McCoy. He was on his way to like a Hall of Fame career and got
behind that line.
Yeah, after he left, so he got it the worst. But shortly behind him was Howie Roseman.
Took him to a whole other office.
Exactly. And this is a bit of a hypothetical, but I know you spend a lot of time studying team building and things like that. Not like HR office team building, like literal team building.
Oh yeah, like the draft and free
agency.
Not I don't do that's a better profession suited for other people who are more versed in that space.
Yeah. So what could the long-term damage have been in the wake of Chip Kelly had we not had somebody like Howie Roseman who can build a team? I mean, I think there are other GMs who are as good as Howie or very good also. I don't know of another one who can build a contender as quickly as Howie did.
Yeah, I mean, Schneider with the Seahawks, it took a little bit, and he was a masterful team builder. He's still pretty good today. He just doesn't have that quarterback and the cap era and everything, but he's been making great pick after great pick. It's one of those things where you see a team like, it's kind of weird because I'm trying to think of a comparison, but I really can't because no teams really have that bad of a GM with an owner that's as hands-on, except maybe the Cowboys and,
Yeah,
Lurie's very hands-on. And
yeah.
There's some pros and cons to that. I think there's more pros than cons because they want to win, and we see that, and we respect that. But I'm trying to think of a comparison of this, and I can't do it. It's
so
really
save for the comparison. Like, what do you think in an alternate universe where the Eagles have an average GM, like a top 10 through 15 GM in the NFL? How long should it have taken to rebuild what Chip Kelly tore apart?
Oh my God. Well, we don't win that Super Bowl first off. That's neither here nor there. That's completely off the table. A fun one I like to revisit. I'm going to go back to your question. What happens if the Titans said yes to that Marcus Mariota trade? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Patrick Cox and a ton of picks.
Yeah, you're right. But that was, and Chip Kelly was obsessed with former Oregon guys.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, but I'd say we'd be getting into the stages of competing, say, what year was that again? 2016, 2017-ish?
So Doug and Carson came here together in 2016.
So 15.
So that means Kelly's last year was 15.
I mean, we would have either seen a GM fired or, progress made by 2018, 2019. But I'm talking like playoff appearance, like what happened with the Eagles with Jalen Hurts when he first made the playoffs, something like that. We're happy, we're stoked at a playoff appearance, not no deep run, not no conference title game, not no maybe divisional, maybe divisional's the ceiling. Let me put it at that.
Yeah, and how we managed to win a Super Bowl, not the following year, the year after. So one full season removed from this complete team teardown, culture was in the garbage can. The Eagles were in shambles. We had one full season of being poor, and then you win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking up the Eagles free agency because it's owed a lot to the free agency. I think when Howie picked up, I think it was 2017, since Carson came in 2016 to
Yeah, there's
2017.
a ton of 1-year deals on that team.
I'm looking. I only got a list. We had Patrick Robinson, who played a key part. He had that pick six
Minnesota.
in the title game. Chris Long was really good. I'm just flipping through a list right now. Alshon Jeffrey, that one panned out. That drop still hurts me.
Yeah,
Nick Foles. Wonder what happened with that
Foles,
guy.
Malcolm Jenkins and oh my god, I hate myself that I'm blanking.
Torrey Smith.
Dude. Well, yeah, but that both safeties came over.
Rodney McLeod,
yeah.
I forget who else. But like how we just had a bunch of really good moves, and then
there's a linebacker we're missing who was huge.
Oh my gosh.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
Oh man.
I
think you got it from the linebacker. I think you got it from the Lions.
It's blanking.
I'm gonna look it up, but it's gonna bug me.
But
I'm almost certain. Yeah,
I mean, you forget about some of those late draft picks that were Super Bowl heroes. Trey Burton threw the touchdown.
Yeah.
Corey Clement
Michael
had 100
Kendricks was one of our linebackers.
Corey Clement was a UDFA. He had 100 receiving yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you just don't find these people out of thin air. Hitting on UDFAs is really, really hard. We only see so many that are, good producers, say a year or so. It's just what he did was absolutely insane.
Yeah, dude. Michael Kendricks was a big one, but he's not the one I'm thinking. Jordan Hicks, good, not the one I'm thinking. Nate Gary, no.
I'm probably 2016 or was it 2018 that he signed?
Nigel Bradham. Nigel Bradham
was huge. Oh my!
That's
gosh,
what I'm looking for.
Like these moves all came within this a series of 1 to 2 seasons. Like he got the money. He paid up for Alshon, which I don't know if it set the blueprint exactly, but for what other teams followed about getting your young quarterback a bona fide wide receiver one, because Alshon at that time was one of those dudes. He was one of those dudes.
Yeah.
So
I think it signaled that we were out of the depression. Like when they went out and got Alshon, it was like, oh, we're not going to do a rebuild. Like Howie's going to retool right now.
One season. It took him one season.
To go from the basement.
It was masterful team building, but would we have gotten that far with Carson Wentz? That's something neither here nor there. It's because Nick Foles, you can't take away from Nick Foles' magical run. That's a 1 of 1 kind of run. Well, 1 of 2. Joe Flacco kind of did it too, but
yeah, but not as a backup.
Not as a backup. You're right. So it's kind of a 1 of 1 kind of run.
Yeah. I mean, Nick got on one of those Nick Foles heaters, and he just
would Nick Foles have been able to make that magical run without the team in place for him?
No,
both things can be true.
I mean, LeGarrette Blount, we didn't mention. He was a one-and-done guy.
Jay the trade
difference. Jay Ajayi is another one. I mean, that team was a rare example of a team having very little snaps together, very little. I shouldn't say chemistry. The team actually did really get along, but they spent very little time together, and they won immediately. We'll get into the Sixers later on, but that you can see, by the way Sixers build their team, that doesn't typically work. Where these one and done guys,
look across the street. All they have to do is look across the street. Look at the Phillies.
Yeah,
that mic'd up from Brandon Marsh is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. That was good.
But you're right. In the Phillies, we have the 4th highest payroll in baseball. We spent, but there's something about that clubhouse that dudes want to be a part of. The guys in it play harder for each other, and they're rolling right now. I mean, we're looking at potentially the best pitching staff in baseball. We'll have to see a full season of work, but if they stay on this pace, this pitching staff could rival the 4 aces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, this is the last comparison I'm gonna give to the Eagles because we're moving on to the Phillies. But remember, Nick Sirianni is supposed to be a locker room guy. Look what happened to them last season. Rob Thompson is a locker room guy. Look at that team now. They all love each other. It's you take some setbacks in the managerial and coaching aspects for that close knit group, which it pays off a lot of the time. the Phillies have that close-knit group. The Eagles need to get there, which I hope they will. And I still think they will, but I just want to point that out. But yeah, this pitching staff has been incredible. Ranger Suarez, man. Oh, we knew he was that dude.
Yeah, but he's
been
our number 3, and he's an ace on 75% of the league.
I'd say 75, 60%. There's a couple of pitchers who are just absolutely dealing right now. But
I know,
he'd be a top number 2 on those teams.
He just came in. MLB's latest pitcher power rankings had Wheeler 1, Suarez 5. I mean, there's guys who have better stuff for sure and better, career numbers and whatever. But I mean, Rangers ERA this year is still sub 2. I think it's a 1.5. I mean, he's on fire.
Look, if Ranger keeps this up, it's going to be scary for other teams coming to the playoffs because you're going to see in a row Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, and if this team is healthy and hitting, I don't know, man. It's sky feels like the limit. I know I'm being optimistic, but they don't usually put together these early returns. It's usually mid-season, the switch is flipped, and it's go time.
Yeah, I think John Kruk brought it up very early in the season. He thought this year was going to be different because that first year in the World Series, we were happy to be there. We shouldn't have been there. We got hot at the right time. Citizens Bank kind of found itself again at the pinnacle of baseball. And I think last year the Phillies thought, just get us to October, we're going to be fine. And for them to get embarrassed in Arizona the way that they did, knowing how good they are, I think this offseason looked different. I think this is a team on a mission this year.
Mm-hmm. I'm never gonna forget that Game 7, man. That was the worst feeling. I don't know, man. To watch the Diamondbacks storm your home field in person to go to the World Series.
You felt helpless. Like the team felt like they just couldn't do anything right.
Yeah, but knowing this Phillies clubhouse, you knew they felt exactly how we felt.
Yeah,
they wanted it. They wanted it. Like
that, and I think that's the difference. I think last year, after that game, they wanted it. I think last year in the playoffs, because of what happened the first year, they felt like they were always going to be okay. And I think getting embarrassed at home at Citizens Bank
twice in a row.
Yeah, hearing some of the heat from the fans. I mean, that Phillies team could do no wrong. And for the first time since that core has been together, there were expectations and they fell short. So I think this offseason was very much focused on we're never going to feel like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And they're putting together. I know there's some injuries and there's some slumps right now, but the team still, the vibes are high again. So it's all you can ask for.
You mentioned some of the injuries, which, in a long season, there's always going to be a couple. I was at the game where Trey Turner went down, and I was stunned when I found out he would be out for 6 weeks. It looked like a little minor thing, so I'm, kind of bummed. But at full strength, let's say this team is totally healthy, because Turner will be back well before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a glaring weakness on this roster right now?
I don't want to say it. You know where I'm going.
Right field.
I'm going to right field. Good.
Yeah.
It's not a right-handed power bat because I want to just shout this out. Bohm has been absolutely amazing.
Bohm's been raking.
He's been raking, dude. So it's not a right-handed bat because he is a right-handed bat, and so is Turner as well. It's just right field, man. I like that Rojas and Pache are, especially Rojas is coming into his own a little bit. At least he was. He had that little hot streak there.
He's still hitting like 230. He's hitting 9th. If he can stay north of 220, you're all right.
He's improved. He's improved since what it was last season, and that's all I can ask for. He's an absolute ace in the outfield at center field. He'll save more runs.
He's had a couple of bumps this year, which I'm hoping he'll get straightened out.
He'll get over it. I think he'll get over it. But it's right field, man, and
it's tough. It is. It's Nick Castellanos.
It's the drawback of spending so much money. You're not going to hit on everything. Like Turner, the jury's still out. He's playing up to his contract right now. Who knows what's going to be later? Harper's everything you wanted and some.
He's already paid his contract off.
Oh yeah, he's swing of his life. Yeah. He's paid it off. Schwarber looks like a good deal money wise. He's been, he has his ups and downs with his average, but when Schwarber
Schwarber's contract has aged phenomenally. He was a 4-year, $80 million deal.
when Hoagie Fest starts, it's over. It's over.
I mean, we're going to get 4 years out of a guy who looks like he'll give you 40 home runs, 100 RBIs almost every season. At $20 million a year, that contract aged phenomenally.
It's a little weird with him, hitting lead off, but like it's he has to. He's uncomfortable everywhere else. So like you just gotta do it.
It's where he hits.
I'm not drawing like any drawbacks from it. It's just, it's not traditional. We knew that.
It's not, but the way our team's set up, like if you're gonna have Schwarber hit leadoff, you better be deep. And the nice thing with the Phillies is like on any given night, Stott's hitting 7. And lately, with how poorly Castellanos has been playing, he's seen a couple nights where he's at 8. Other nights, now we have some subs in who are hitting 8 and 9, but I mean, on a deep roster, like he's still hitting with guys on base because you have hitters like Stott, Castellanos, even Pache are hitting like 7, 8, 9. So he's seeing RBI opportunities.
I mean, if Rojas or Pache gets on in the 9 slot and Schwarber puts one in the gap, they're scoring. So more times than not. So I mean, it's just, I don't know. I haven't really got to look at the trade market. I know the Red Sox are not the greatest. I know Tyler O'Neill's been a big name that's been mentioned. He's kind of cooled off a little bit though. He was red hot to start the year. And now he's still doing good. Don't get me wrong, but
if I'm the fit, I mean, if I'm John Middleton, I love him. I think if we didn't already have Jeffrey Lurie in this town, he would be the best owner in the city. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie has a stranglehold though on that type.
He's proven everything that there is to prove from an owner perspective.
Yes, but I mean, John Middleton is more than willing to spend if he thinks that it will bring him a title. He's obsessed with having another parade on Broad, which I love.
He's a perfect GM for that too, by the way.
Yeah, because he's got deep pockets. Oh, and Dave Dombrowski will deep.
Dave Dombrowski will. It was discussed on Twitter. I forget who brought it up, but I totally agree with them. Sorry, I don't remember your name. If you see this and comment on it, But it's the chip shove time. Honestly, you got to you got to cash one of these guys in for one of these prize prospects in for a big impact player. I don't know who. Names will materialize close to the deadline.
I don't disagree, but it actually brings up what I was about to say about John Middleton. And as much as I want him to go out and spend stupid money and bring in whoever it takes to win, the worst part about Ranger Suarez pitching as well as he is he went to his contract I believe is up in the season.
Next year.
We have next season too.
I think we have next season. Team control in the next season. I was because I realized this. I'm like, the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my gosh, Bohm and Ranger are coming up for contracts soon. The light went off. I think like last night I was just sitting there. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. So it comes up this year.
I think we have team control the next. I think we do. Don't hold me on that. We don't. I know
because he went to arbitration in 2023.
I know the contract page says one thing, but there was an article that I just read from, I think, one of the Philly news sources that say that we have him under team control through next year. I think he said that himself.
Let me see.
I'm pretty sure we have him this year and next year.
Says Suarez.
Baseball contracts are not as straightforward as football contracts, by the way.
Okay, yeah. So 2025, we have his last under team control because in the MLB you get 3 arbitration years.
So they're not straightforward. You're like Saquon 4-year deal with however many years of void, and you're like, okay, he's gonna play till the team till then, or maybe get extended. Like baseball contracts are a little weirder. So yeah.
Okay, so you can breathe a year on Suarez. I thought we were gonna have this coming up for him this offseason, although I still think we should.
I agree. Especially if he keeps this up, I don't know how we're gonna pay him, but we will.
You find a way. So to that point, that changed things a little bit. I was just hesitant on dealing guys like Painter and guys like Abel. If there's a world where you're not able to bring Suarez back, because then all of a sudden one of those guys immediately slots into the 3. Although I guess because of Christopher Sanchez.
Look, I always bring up the fantasy scenario. Every team on Twitter has done it now. So I might as well add the Phillies into that. I know our bullpen's great, but Mason Miller, man, oh my gosh, he's so good. He's insane.
I've been seeing that a lot too. Where
He's insane. He's a negative FIP. I'm pretty sure that's like pitchers like Oniari without the defense. It's negative. Like he's crazy. And you know it's the A's. I hate to do that, but it's the A's.
I know, because I love baseball, and I feel bad what's happening to A's fans, but they are ripe for the picking all the time. And they won't even ask for that much in return.
Look, if I'm a team that's rebuilding perpetually, or even just in the moment, what is the least valuable thing to my team? A high leverage closer.
Especially when you're not planning on winning many games.
It's like number one least valuable spot.
Yeah.
A high leverage closer. Especially with this many years of team control, you want to trade him away.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's gonna go, but he's gonna be a lot. No, it's the Braves, sadly.
That's fine. They're in the rear view at the moment.
They really are, and it kind of concerns me a little bit that they're kind of close and they haven't been playing all that well. Like Ozuna was hot to start, and he's kind of cooled off. Austin Riley hasn't been hitting his usual self. Acuna hasn't. Matt Olson hasn't. Like they all feel like they're in down years, which might be the time to strike, or they get hot and flip the switch. And yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? I'm not putting this out into the universe, but that would be the worst thing I could imagine is us winning the division and then getting Phillies by the Braves. That would suck.
Not gonna lie, I kind of like the wild card better. I hope the Braves pick it up. There's been so much talk about that rest time. We talked about it last year. I totally think a hot Phillies team.
I believe it. I think the rest is the problem.
I think the Major League Baseball postseason is set up so badly right now, and I think they need to fix it, but I don't know.
Because, baseball is such a rhythm and feel kind of sport where if you take 4 or 5 days off and then you have to come right back and play one of the best teams in baseball, that's a tall order. So as much as I hate giving Braves fans the satisfaction, and I still think it's not an excuse to lose a series, I wouldn't be excited to come back with 4 or 5 days rest out of the groove and then have to go deal with Atlanta. The same way I'm sure they'll never admit it, but they weren't excited to come deal with a red hot Phillies team on a couple of days rest. So I'm kind of with you. The only benefit for us is that it lets the staff, who's typically run out of gas in October, get a little bit of a breather.
Yeah. That's fair. It's a trade-off though, the pitching for the bats. If the pitching is this good throughout it, we won't have many problems, but it's really hard to rely on, consistency throughout the whole year.
I agree, but we'd be remiss not to speak on the Sixers at all. We'll do that. We have 2 minutes left, so we'll just give a quick rundown. I kind of left this season not feeling as hopeless as I thought I would after the first round exit. I thought Joel Embiid showed that he has the right mindset now. I think he played through a ton of pain. There's no excuses. The production was there. A 50-point game in Game 4. No. 50-point game in Game 4. Tyrese had a 50-piece in Game 5. Embiid had 30 in Game 6. So you have the two right guys at the helm. From what I've heard from Morey lately has been encouraging. It sounds like Kelly Oubre Jr. is going to be a priority to come back, which is great. The door is open for Batum to come back if he wants it. Same thing with Campaign. And we have about $60 million to go play around with this offseason and bring in some good role players. The flip side of that coin is Daryl Morey has $60 million, and I don't trust him not to go get Paul George and or Jimmy Butler. Both guys who are on the wrong side of their prime, who are not loved by their current teams. Paul George, I don't know if you've been seeing, I know I'm more on NBA Twitter than you are. But Paul George has been getting lambasted by
I've seen it.
Clippers fans.
I've
He's
seen
lazy. He picks and chooses his games. He's not the defender he once was. His redeeming qualities are slimming. And then Jimmy Butler, who, if you talked to me 2 seasons ago, I would have said, give Miami whatever they want. Now all of a sudden you got Jimmy Butler missing serious time. There's some friction in the Heat organization, and he wasn't the same player this year.
No.
And both of those guys are going to require a max to get him over here. And I just don't think either one is a max player anymore.
No. There's a player at the top of my wish list, and he's currently on a team.
Brandon Ingram.
Huh? No.
Is it Brandon Ingram?
No.
Oh,
It's the guy that we drafted and should have never left.
Bridges. He is going to require every piece of draft capital we have.
That's the problem, but the Nets are rebuilding. I mean,
Have you heard the
how many
current
future picks do they have? 1, 0?
The asking price is 3 firsts and 3 swaps. It's a lot of draft.
It's a lot of draft capital, but it makes so much sense.
In a league with 2 rounds, that is our next 6 future picks are either not ours or not in our control.
I didn't say I'd pay it. I said he's at the top of my thing, but I think about it.
I mean, I do too. I think he's a perfect fit. He's a higher scoring Tobias, which everybody is. But yeah, I think I would love to get Mikal Bridges, but the asking price is so damn high. Although it's the same asking price as Jimmy Butler, so of the 2, give me Mikal Bridges. I was interested in poking around Brandon Ingram. Again, if he requires a max, I'm out. But he's got an image to rebuild. New Orleans is choosing not to build around him. He fell out of the rotation in the playoffs.
That should be a red flag. That should be a ginormous red flag.
It is, but I don't think there's anybody out here this offseason that I want to max, because it's not a 2-year max. I mean, all these guys are going to you're going to tie the franchise then for 4 years. And I think Ingram is the only one who has any stake in a short-term deal to rebuild an image.
I mean, you're not wrong, but oh man, it feels bleak. I can't really explain it.
It's a shitty offseason to have money.
Yeah, it really is. And we need something to do with it, or Morey's going to get canned.
Yeah, I mean, the only other guy who you could consider, because he clearly hates where he's at, is Donovan Mitchell. Had no interest in returning to Cleveland for him. It's another trade situation, so there goes your next 6 picks.
I don't think it costs 6. That's an expiring. I think, but I know we all know where he wants to go.
I know, and it's not here. So the gamble with him is you got to win it next season, or else it's a complete loss.
You know where he wants to go, and it's just.
I know. But for 1 more year, it's not his call. They're just a terrible way to build a team.
I don't know, man.
You can keep an eye out in Phoenix. Something's going to happen out there.
That has been reported.
I think Book has. Now it said Book wants to come to New York, which again,
New York.
Which we'll get that. That's a whole separate episode. But either Book or KD, whoever comes available, you kick the tires. You see,
you have to kick the tires.
But
you have to.
To be excruciatingly clear, and the Sixers have been that, I don't want anybody coming into this roster who is going to A, cost me Tyrese Maxey, which I think is impossible, or B, stunt the growth of Tyrese Maxey. He has to be your unequivocal second star.
I think A is fully off the table at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think B is very much on the table, which scares me.
I don't know what else he has to show you. I mean, you're about to max him up. He's about to get a $200+ million deal.
Good, he deserves every penny of it.
He absolutely does. But the idea that you could bring somebody in to take the ball out of his hands, and there's nobody out there this offseason, to me, where that makes sense. This version of Kevin Durant, he'd be the best 3rd option in basketball. He's my 3rd option. Same with D-Book.
Yeah, but they would.
They would never accept it. But that's
How
fine.
quick they would request a trade on over under 2.5 games?
No, that's fine. Then don't come. I'm saying in those meetings that needs to come up about what your role on this team is going to be.
I don't know who would accept it least out of those two.
Unfortunately, of those two,
Out of those
think
two, I don't
KD
know who
would
would
be
accept it the least. It might be
KD be the
Jason
quickest to accept it.
I think KD would be more likely than Booker.
To accept it,
Yeah.
he's
Just where they're at in their careers.
We're not rebuilding image. KD has had 5 coaches fired under his tenure. He is looking to prove he's a winner.
He didn't look good.
He didn't at all. His only titles he got carried there by the Warriors. Yeah,
Steph. Yep, and Prime Clay.
Yeah. So if he wants to go down in those LeBron conversations, he's got to put some more legitimate rings on his hand.
It's so hard to do that. The West is so loaded. I mean, is it time for? I mean,
come east, Kevin.
The Celtics are the powerhouse right now, but they're locked into all those guys, and I'm pretty sure they're over that tax apron, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
like 5 guys making like $35 million.
They have, I believe they have 3 guys on max because Tatum's maxed up, so is Jaylen Brown, and I believe they inherited Porzingis' max.
White and Drew Holiday are very close, though.
I don't think
White makes a ton of money.
Yeah, but he's not. I don't think he's a max guy. Drew, you might be right. He's probably real close.
It's not total max salaries. There is a limit on that, but it's like the tax. It's like the luxury tax threshold. There's like I think they added a second apron to that, and if you go over the second apron, you are
you're crippled.
Oh, you're done. You can't, because then you can only use like min-level players if you go over that tax.
No, you lose your mid-level except on the second.
No, min. I said min, not mid.
Oh,
like the min salary guys, like minimum, like league min. Not you do lose your mid level. You're right there, but I just like
Derek White's not making as much as you think he is.
Really?
No,
20-ish, 25-ish.
No, a little less.
Really?
Let's see. Yeah, his cap hit this year is 18. That's
this year though. Is the contract extension kicking in? That's the real thing. I think he might have signed it for after this season. I would need future numbers because I think he was on that deal with the Spurs. I think he came from the Spurs. I remember he played for the Spurs. I just don't remember if there was a team in between. I'm gonna take a because I'm pretty sure they're well over. The Bucks look like they're kind of falling apart. I know Giannis was out. I know Dame.
Oh, he hasn't been given an extension.
He hasn't.
He has not. He's an unrestricted free agent this offseason.
Really?
So,
if
he doesn't require a max, I wonder what he's up to.
I swear he got extended. I know Drew did. Maybe I'm confusing the guards.
Yeah. Brad Stevens addressed a potential White extension.
Well, they can't pay him.
They don't have the money.
I don't have the money to do that.
Yeah,
and like I said, the Bucks are basically locked into that roster too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not.
You have the Hero extension coming up,
which I don't think is going to crush him.
I don't think it's going to crush him either. I don't know if Bam's going to need another deal. I'm not brushed up.
No, So I agree with you. I don't think he's the guy to build your team around. The Heat don't agree with us. They've publicly said that Bam Adebayo is.
Look, he's great. I'm not
going to that's their cornerstone moving forward.
Look, I'm not going to say they're wrong because what else do they have there? I mean, they're going to get everything out of their role players. Spoelstra is one of the best coaches of all time. Like, as long as he's coaching the ship, it's going to go in the right direction.
Yeah. So you're
thinking of that. Speaking of that, I'm so happy we have Nick Nurse. I just want to bring that up.
Drew Holiday signed a 4-year, 140, 4-year, 135. That's what you're thinking of.
Dude.
Yeah.
So they have those 4 huge contracts, which is kind of like the max you could sign, 4 huge contracts.
Yeah, so they're going to have to build around with mins pretty much. And I'm guessing, I guess they can still pay Derek White. I don't know. But we're wandering down a wormhole here. We don't make a living. We don't make a living doing this in general, but especially not talking Celtics. Shout out to the 13 of you who stuck around for some reason. I appreciate it. I hate Boston as much as the rest of you.
I just want to say that we got 2 people off my list of 3 people from the first round. I can't believe it for the Eagles. Back to the Eagles real quick.
That is true. You got Cooper DeJean in the second.
I think you were right
I think,
too. I think you were right on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you instantly. I was like, dude, DeJean in the second. How did we pull that off?
Dude,
I mean, I
you
knew he was falling.
you were
a little
out. I was like, I was freaking out of my
dude. Yeah,
like
that
how
was
he's amazing.
incredible. I love Mitchell in the first. I mean, I think either we said on this podcast, neither cornerback you can go wrong. We ended up with both of them, which is enormous.
I texted Colin. You remember Colin?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's like, who do you want here? I'm like, Mitchell, because the NFL has proved they don't value DeJean. And then I just texted him the next day. I'm just like, lol in all caps as we drafted him.
Yeah, you got.
He's something. DeJean's he's got that crazy confidence. He said he could beat Caitlin Clark in a one-on-one. I don't think he can, but I love cornerbacks with crazy confidence.
Well, dude, if you're a white corner, you gotta have confidence off the charts.
He's starting in the slot. That's where they said they're going to start him. I love that. I'm a big fan of what Fangio's doing so far. So
yeah, which is interesting. I guess he'll be your. Because we brought Maddox back also, so I'm wondering. I mean, I guess they're counting on him not playing a full season.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, next week we'll break down a little bit more Eagles stuff. But to wrap this one up, as always, I'm Brandon. He's Ryan. And this has been the Patterson Report. See y'all later.
Peace.